So, a little bit of storytelling on this one. I got this for the princely sum of £4 just 4. It was on a Zavvi clearance sale, so I didn't get it from the Hero Collector website like I normally do. And obviously I wouldn't have got it had it not held some degree of significance for me, but this does actually hold quite a lot of significance for me. Reason being that way back when, my first experience of the Aliens Expanded Universe was a sort of standard issue American sized comic that I came across in a specialist store in York, which was one of the few specialist stores I'd ever been in at the time. And it had this series called Aliens vs Predator, and I just thought, what do you mean Aliens vs Predator? That's not a thing, is it? How can that be a thing? And of course, it was a classic crossover, and it was way before the films ever tried doing it. And this was the comic that I think, I assume kind of inspired the film's concept. And of course it meshed beautifully. And if you're unfamiliar, the whole principle behind this is basically that the Predators seed planets with aliens and then proceed to hunt the aliens. And they actually do that as part of an initiation rite within the clans to establish your standing as a hunter. And you're only allowed to use certain limited types of hunter weaponry because it's a sort of ritualistic thing. So you don't get your main sort of shoulder cannons. You're only allowed sort of single shot handguns and your claws, and that's pretty much it really. And this lady fits into that scheme of things by virtue of having been a human on a colony that an alien queen managed to sneak another alien queen egg into. So when the landing craft launched to seed it with just a few normal warrior aliens, it actually created a whole colony of aliens because there was an alien queen egg on board the ship where there shouldn't have been one. So as a result, there are far more aliens than the Predators are expecting, and they do proceed to lose quite badly, apart from one Predator who is better than average basically out of the bunch. But we also have this lady here, Machiko, who helps this Predator against the aliens, and obviously being a human she knows the lie of the land and so on, and she's prepared to stand up and help him. And because she's deemed to have fought honourably, she's actually brought into the Predator clan structure. She's never entirely accepted because she's human and she does stuff which is out of character with the way in which the Predators themselves would do it. But nevertheless, she does make a go of it. And as you'll see, how she then progresses in the Predator society is dealt with in this book, which, as you will see, is then mentioned on the back of this box. So as you can see, the back of that box is the front of this book, and indeed this is the book that I just showed you right there. So that's what the look of her character in this set is based off, because she does get given her own sort of Predator armour and weaponry and so on. So I've never bought an Eaglemoss. Well, no, I tell a lie. I have got Eaglemoss figurines actually, but they're Marvel based ones. So I'm quite interested to see what this one looks like. So I'm gonna grab her out. I mean, it was such a bargain. I couldn't believe it. It was hilarious because I've never really looked at getting her before. She wasn't on a sort of a major wish list particularly. I'm hoping that I've got that out in the right sort of direction. And I should say, I mean, the Aliens vs Predator universe is obviously huge now because there have been 2 films, at least 2 films that are specifically Aliens vs Predator. But the expanded universe is such that it's incorporated them. It's incorporated Terminator as well. I think there have been Superman Alien crossovers. There's been all sorts basically. Even Judge Dredd actually. Batman's had a crossover with Predator. So there are lots and lots of crossovers. But I do think that Aliens vs Predator comic that I had single issues of was probably the first that kind of kicked the whole thing off as a concept. I'm just trying very carefully to get this out without actually wrecking it completely, because there's quite a lot of... I'm worried about it springing back if I don't get this right. Bear with me a second. I hadn't anticipated it being quite stiff. I'm used to it. I'm used to Eaglemoss stuff coming in polystyrene boxes. I wasn't expecting something quite this plasticky, if I'm honest. But then I don't know how tough these figurines actually are. It says it's got a sort of metallic resin to it, which presumably makes them pretty tough. But I just don't want to risk testing that theory by being a bit too violent when I get it out of the box. Let's see if that'll do it. That might be enough. There she is. Okay. There she is. Right. Cool. So, one piece of detail that I immediately noticed on the imagery for her. I don't know if you can quite make that out. If you can just see on her forehead there, she's got a little mark, and that is a mark that the predators use. They snap off an alien's finger and imprint your forehead with the acidic blood end of the finger where it's snapped off, and that indicates that you've taken part in the initiation rite. I'm just going to see if I can get that to... There we go. That's done it. So he's got her face quite nicely there. You can see the detail, and that's obviously her mask, her claws, and her sort of plasma caster weapon. But it's yeah, I mean it's a very solid, it's a very sort of solid feeling figure. I'm not worried at all about holding that by its leg like that. That's not a problem at all. I imagine if you had several of them, they'd probably tessellate as well, because it's also got a sort of a hexagonal base there, so you could probably put them all together on that basis, I would imagine. We've also got a nice brochure with it as well. It's very, very thin, so I don't think it's going to say a huge amount. I think it's more being used to advertise other elements in the series that are available, of which I know there are some. And again, I mean, the thing is, I would never ever have got it that cheap from the Eaglemoss website itself. That was a complete accident on my part, because I just got one of these Zavvi emails that basically said, you know, we're having a clear out, come and have a look. So I did, and lo and behold, there she was. It can be an interesting secondary source of Eaglemoss merchandise, because they do carry some. So if the main Hero Collector website is out of stock for anything, it's sometimes worth having a look at the Zavvi site, just to see if they've got any alternative source there. I've still got a couple of other things due from them actually, which aren't Eaglemoss related, but that is Machiko. So I may be mispronouncing that, by the way. Obviously, I've only ever read it. I've never heard it pronounced. So yeah, I mean, for the sake of £4 I'm very happy with that. I just need to find a... In fact, I do know where she's going to live. She's going to live next to my Aliens and Predator graphic novels, because that would be the most obvious place for her to sit, I think. So I shall do that with her. And yeah, so now, interestingly, before I forget, there is a video on my channel, which is my sort of comic collection from kind of 1988 through to 1998, give or take. And in that, I've actually got my original, or at least the ones that are left, my single issue Alien vs Predator comics. So I've definitely still got them. I just haven't fetched them out for this video. But if you look at that other video around the 45-minute mark, you should be able to see those there if you're interested. So yeah, so that's it for Machiko, and I'm hoping to get a couple more items that aren't related to this from Zavvi in due course, but they're still on their way. So I'll do some videos for those once they rock up. Alright, cheers for now.